B1 family, welcome to Black Logic. We're going to take a different approach to this evening's broadcast. I know I'm going a lot earlier than already pronounced, so please forgive me on that one, but I had to get right into this one very quickly. I wanted to share with you guys what's going on with the SAVED Act. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. We're going to get familiar with that very quickly. But there's legislations to stop illegal immigrants in voting in federal races, as it should. I don't believe that. Well, let me take a step back, family. Yesterday, I was at the barber shop with my son getting his hair cut, and I spoke to a black guy. I was really trying to figure out if he was from America or was he from the Caribbean or Africa. But I believe he's either was from Alabama or Mississippi. Mississippi, if my memory serves me correctly. And I basically asked him, I said, do you believe that illegal immigrants should have the right to vote? And he took a quiet pause and he said, yes. And then I asked him, do you believe people who travel to other countries who take up residence and or, employment, should they have the vote in other countries as well? He said, yes. I said, okay, are you believing of some sort of like world citizenship and he said yes. And then I ended the conversation. We're not on the same terms, but it was interesting just to hear some of his perspective on it. I don't agree at all, just because the world that we live in, borders are very important. They have drawn these colonial lines that we now live in, and now we have to protect what is ours. It is what it is. It's what it's turned out to be, is what it's transformed to be. And we keep trying to make it something else than what it is. This is what we have, family. We can make this better, but we're not going to disable apocalyptic the country in order to start anew. That won't happen to America. Not in our lifetime. It states here that the U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill on Wednesday that will require individuals registering to vote to provide proof of citizenship to participate in federal election, as it should be. The legislation passed 221 to 198, 221 to 198. Would also require states to check their voter rolls for registered non-citizens. Okay, that also will help the states out and knock out any illegal immigrant who's trying to vote on the state level as well. Because, family, I don't know if you knew this, but there are some states that allow non-citizens to vote. The Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, or the SAVED Act, is intended to prevent non-citizens from voting. The act is already illegal since under current U.S. law, only citizens can vote in federal elections, but the National Voter Registration Act of 93 prohibits states from confirming citizenship status. It prohibits states from confirming citizenship status. You see the conundrum, you see the contradiction here, family. This is how the system of white supremacy makes everybody wrong and makes everybody right. And then at the end, they just do what they want to do because they made countering legislation that confuse the people. It goes on to state that voting laws vary by state, with some states like Georgia and Wisconsin requiring photo identification, and others such as Pennsylvania, New Mexico, requiring no documentation at all. So if you're a legal immigrant and you listen to this, just go down to New Mexico, just vote. You can do it. You don't need no documentation. You probably don't even need to know English, whether you speak Spanish or French or another European language I don't know of, or African language I don't know of. So, I mean, you can just go and vote. Okay. Or if you up north, you can migrate over to Pennsylvania and vote there as well. States that do mandate photo identification, wow, or other documents use driver's license, military ID cards, student ID cards, birth certificates, tribal ID cards, or even a recent utility bill. You just bring up a utility bill saying, I live here, you can vote. That is crazy. there's a lot of American presidents, family, if you really think about it, that anyone could have voted for. We had all of these laws sitting here, and because Donald Trump and Joe Biden are running for president, this is why these things now come to light. These legislations was enacted in the early 90s. So there's been illegal immigrants voting for a very long time. And then you're asking yourself, what are the privileges of a citizen? What is the privileges of an American citizen if everyone can come to America and do whatever the hell they want? A judge stated that illegal immigrants under the Constitution has the right to bear arms. But I thought those privileges goes to U.S. citizens. But we have legislation that state that you can be a non-citizen and vote. So again, I asked the people, being an American-born U.S. citizen, what are the rights do we really have if illegal immigrants are receiving everything that we worked for? Everything that foundational Black Americans worked for. And we put pressure on the suspected white supremacy society in order to pass that. Now every other group is benefiting, and we're probably benefiting 1%, if that. It states that the SAVED Act, introduced by a Republican, Roy of Texas, would require most individuals to have a passport to register to vote. I guess that'll get some Black people to vote. I mean, not to vote, but to go travel. You got to have your passport. Now, that's a stretch. That's a stretch. That's just my personal opinion. Everybody having a passport. That's a stretch. Only about 48% of U.S. citizens have a passport, so half the population. Okay? But I do agree with the driver's license and not the tribal ID card, but the real ID. Okay, the real ID. I believe that may be significant. Okay. So we're going to break down the SAVED Act. I don't know if you guys, I thought I had it popped up for you guys, the SAVED Act, but I did break it down because I think it's important. They're trying to push it as some sort of left-wing racist agenda. And family, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not an independent. I'm just thinking about the betterment of our people. Okay, let me pop this up. This is I went through this, okay, and I summarized it. Yeah, I do stuff like that, so you don't have to do it. It wasn't much, as you can tell. It's only 20-something pages, okay. But yeah, I summarized it because I really wanted to know what was in it, what could potentially be good for Black Americans or potentially bad. So with that said, let's get into it. All right. I think the first thing that we need to start with is illegal immigration. Because believe it or not, family, for far too long, the Democrats have been telling Black folk that illegal immigration is okay. It's actually helping the Black community. But it's absolutely been a real problem for us. We're talking about thousands. Oh, no. Let me take that back. We're talking about over 20 million people who are illegally in the country, who are undocumented in the country. And guess what they're being dropped off at? In our communities by the Democratic Party, by the way of the Republican Party. Yeah. Don't forget, they may be coming over here under some of these Biden open border policies, but then the Republicans are shipping them to the Black community. So again, they same on the same white supremacy bird. Again, we have no friends. We have none. People will tell you vote for Donald Trump. And as you start to think and analyze your decision, you realize you're not receiving anything if you vote for Donald Trump. They say, well, vote for the lesser of two evils. And you've been doing that your whole life and you have not benefited from it. This is your second or first or fourth or fifth term or time that you've been voting. Tell me the significant changes that it made for you in your family's life. Because we continue to vote off of fear. We continue to vote off of one thing that really doesn't benefit us. And we haven't learned that from the Civil Rights Act. We haven't learned that from affirmative action. And then all of these racial charged words that they use, or acronyms that they use, like CRT, so people don't know the real history of foundational Black Americans in the country, or they use DEI, and basically what they're saying is this is the new affirmative action. We know Black person, we know Black woman, we know Black man, you don't qualify. You got in with DEI. What about my degree? You got it by DEI. What about my master's degree? You got it by DEI. What about my certifications? You got it by DEI. And they feel as though that we are the only diverse people in America. They think that we are the only minority in America. Last time I checked, Hispanics are here, Asians are here, Middle Easterners are here. Everybody is in America. But everything is projected to be Black. So we're the DEI hires. We are the affirmative action welfare seekers and benefactors. This is absolutely asinine. But this is what we can suspect from a cave community. A very barbaric and disdain community. And see, if there was any genius in the way white supremacists try to denigrate Black folk, is to say that we're dumb. That's, it's like dumb people calling smart people dumb to fool themselves, or to, I guess, recoin the term that they're intelligent. But I won't get into that. I won't get into that conversation. I don't want to lose anybody. I don't want to lose myself. But let me get back on track, because when we look at illegal immigration, it's a real problem for us. It's a real problem. I mean, take, for example, Chicago, where Democratic leadership, your boy Mayor Johnson, have been allowing the dropped off immigrants at police stations, churches, shelters, public schools, hotels, you name it. And a lot of these areas where they dropped them off, family, in these particular public shelters, are predominantly Black neighborhoods. And all of a sudden, they have increased funding to go renovate and fix and make things safe, so now they can house illegal immigrants. This is the truth. But our kids are the ones losing access to quality education and safe places to grow and learn, because they didn't fund those dollars inside of the Black community when we needed it. But now that you're dropping off people who are foreign born illegally inside of the country, now you have millions and billions of dollars to renovate, build, and fix and repair. The disrespect of the political system in America, especially the Democrats. But some of these Negroes are going to go out here because I don't know what it is. I speak to some older Black people, and you can hit every point and they will agree with you. And then they still say, I'm going to go out and vote Democrat because I'm going to vote for the lesser of two evils. It's like no winning them over. I said, what about not voting? They don't even know what that is. They're still thinking about when Dr. King was walking over the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I'm telling you right now, if Dr. King was here and if there was nothing on the table for Black Americans, Dr. King said, I sit on the couch with you, my brother. That's what Dr. King would say. That is what Dr. King would say. Because our money that supposedly projected to go to our communities They're now going to the shelters to resource illegal immigrants. And when it comes to unemployment, low-skilled jobs are crucial for our people, especially those who are just starting out trying to rebuild their lives. But if some of y'all don't think that these jobs are being taken by illegal immigrants, okay, tell me about the farms in Chicago. Tell me about the farms in New York City. Tell me about the industrial plants in Chicago that none of these illegal immigrants will take. Because every illegal immigrant is not going into construction. Each illegal immigrant, especially in Chicago, they're not going to the orange farm or the orange field to pick fruit. They're going to take a lot of the low-skilled jobs that Black Americans were filling, because you don't have to pay them minimum wage. They're illegal. And according to the Center of Immigration Studies, illegal immigration has been shown to depress wages in job opportunities for low-skilled Black people who didn't have the opportunity to go to college or maybe pick up a trade school. Okay, that doesn't mean they're not intelligent. I'm not stating that, family. I'm just saying they're low-skilled because they don't have a license, certification, or a trade. Okay. And who do you think are benefiting from this? Their employers. Their employers are exploiting this illegal immigration, especially the workers, because they don't have to follow labor laws or they don't have to pay them fair wage. They don't have to pay them minimum wage. And it puts our people at a very severe disadvantage. I don't know why people don't think that or know that. And matter of fact, there was a study done by the National Bureau of Economic Research. And if my memory serves me correctly, they found that a 10% increase in the number of illegal workers in a particular area led to a reduction in the wages of our low-skilled Black workers by 3.4%, 3.5 or 4%, something in that ballpark. This is a direct hit to our communities, affecting our ability to provide for our families and build a stable future. See, they talk about coming here for opportunities. What happens is when they take the opportunities by the greed in the so-called capitalistic society that we live in. Not everybody can start a business. Not everybody's business will be successful. Everybody's selling Black folk. Go out and start your own business. Go out and start your own business. There's many reasons why I believe you should start your own business, but that doesn't regard to always building the business you built, if that makes any sense. Somebody caught that. But nonetheless, these are jobs that we've been having for a very long time. And now they have decreased significantly. And let's not forget about the laws and legislations that are supposed to protect us, but are being ignored. The Immigration Reform and Control Act of '86 made it illegal to hire illegal workers. But our enforcement is weak, and penalties for employers are often, a little slap on the wrist, little chest bump, because they're fooling the American people by trying to catch illegals running across the border. They don't do that anymore, but at one point in time, they used to show these videos where the CBP agents are chasing down illegal immigrants and releasing them back over the border. That was all a ruse. That was a guise. That was a Hollywood scene, a Hollywood video clip. Because if you really want to stop the problem, you prosecute the employer who are employing the illegal immigrants. Doesn't that make sense? And the Fair Labor Standards Act, it requires that all workers be paid at least the federal minimum wage. Do you think any of those employers who are hiring illegals pay them the federal minimum wage? Absolutely not. And I guess the influx of illegal immigrants into the Black neighborhood strains a lot of the public services, right? It strains a lot of public services that's on the infrastructure. Hospitals will be overwhelmed. Social services will be more stretched and thin than they already are. Police presence is going to decrease, and some people may believe that's a good thing. Some people may believe that's a bad thing, depending on what type of police you have in your area. And the competition for affordable housing, that increases, leading to people with higher rents and more evictions. This hits the black community, family, very hard, as we are already facing systematic challenges in economic disparities. The Democratic Party, which claims to be the champion, it claims to be the champion, the black folk. You have my back and I'm gonna have yours. Y'all remember what Joe Biden said. But they have been very complicit in the exploitation. Instead of investing in black communities, they are prioritizing policies that benefit people who are illegally in the country. Then they have all these sanctuaries, city policies that protect illegal immigrants from deportation. Okay, they came in the country illegally, and then you have sanctuary city policies that protect people who are illegally in the country. But they want you to vote Democrat. They're dropping people who are not supposed to be in the country in black communities, then create legislation that protect the illegals who came in illegally from leaving. You can't cry about people utilizing and soaking up the meager resources and benefits that you already didn't have, and now you see them receive it and still vote Democrat. Then you can't turn around and vote for the orange man, aka Donald Trump, because he hasn't done anything except blow smoke, the same as the Democratic Party. Like I told you, we have no friends, family. We have none. They also create environments where illegal immigrants can be easily exploited without fear of legal repercussions, which further disadvantage us. Because if they can pay them $5, $6 an hour, and the minimum wage is $12 an hour, or the a starting salary for that position is $12 an hour, they can hire two of them for the price of you for one. This is when we need to hold these so-called leaders accountable and prioritize our needs. So our schools and our communities and our centers and our neighborhoods can receive some of this funding. So yes, the SAVED Act is what we need. Now, again, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat or independent. But let's talk about the SAVED Act. Let me go over this article that you see here on your screen, family. I know it had popped up from quite some time. Let's go over this very quickly. According to Pew Research Center, there were over 25 million people living in the U.S. in 2020 who were not U.S. citizens. Let's go ahead and bump that up to around 30 million. Because don't forget, last year, within 90 days, they had 24,000 illegal Chinese people come across the border. So we're talking about 4 years ago. Yeah, let's bump that up to 30 million. Okay. It states here in 1996, the U.S. Congress passed a law prohibiting non-citizens from voting in federal elections, including elections for the U.S. House, Senate, president election, blah. Okay? So they don't supposed to vote, family, according to the law. Now, if some of you are stating that illegal immigrants are not voting in a U.S. process, absolutely they are. Absolutely they are. Why do you believe that the Democratic Party is allowing so many illegal people inside the country? Why do you think? Okay, let me ask a question. Let me get my thoughts together. Does anyone believe in overpopulation? A lot of you guys are going to go on vacation to Mexico. You guys are going to go on vacation to the Caribbean. You guys are going to go on vacation over in Asia or over in Africa. And there's going to be 2 people working in the whole hotel. There's going to be 4 people working in the whole resort because everybody has come to America for opportunity. And guess what? Now there aren't any more. The question is, can opportunities dry up? Yes, they can. If everybody is coming to America for opportunities, will the opportunities dry up? And that's the question that nobody wants to answer. I keep hearing that all of these illegal people are coming to America, okay, for economic asylum, for these so-called opportunities. But no one can ever tell me when these people are going to take the opportunities, take the money, take the cash, whatever they built in America, and take it out to their country and build something there. No, they stay here. So when do the opportunities dry up? Now, this may not be important to you depending on where you are in your life. If you're in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, you're about to retire, may not affect you as much. But inflation has. If you're 30 and 40s, you're really thinking about it. If you're in your 20s, you really should be thinking about this. Because if people don't believe that a landmass can become overpopulated, it can. We have a large population of different people in America. And when you look at a lot of their countries are overpopulated. Look at India, overpopulated. Look at China, overpopulated. China is in America. China is in the UK. China is in Africa. India is in America. India is in the UK. India is in Africa, South America, because their countries are overpopulated. And when you go to these countries, you think that the ghetto was bad. I'm from Southeast DC. You thought the ghetto was bad. These people are living on top of each other. When I went to Brazil, these people in the favelas are living on top of each other. If you never knew what third world was, go to some of these countries. Go to China. Go to their slums. Hundreds of thousands of people living on top of each other. And everybody is flocking to America for opportunities. Who do you think that will eventually affect? A lot of you are on your Democratic shield, but no one is looking at the bigger picture because it has not affected them yet. But it's affected New York. It's affected Colorado. It's affected Chicago. It's affected New York. It's affected a lot of places where a lot of Black people are. But we're not seeing the big picture. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of the pros. Let's talk about some of the pros of the SAVE Act. I'm going to give you the bottom line up front. The SAVE Act mandates proof of U.S. citizenship for voter registration, okay? For voter registration. Using documents like your passport, your military ID, or your real ID, okay? Your real ID or your real ID driver's license. And what this does, it ensures that every vote cast in the federal elections is by a legitimate citizens, okay? I don't know why people don't want that. I don't know why people don't want processes and systems to protect one of the rights given to you about being an American citizen. What about if this eliminates the argument and debate about preventing voter fraud? What if it does that? because by requiring documented proof, this could lead to eliminating certain instances where non-citizens could potentially register and vote. This will actually reduce the risk of voter fraud. And that will probably bring back some trust and credibility of our electoral process, of our electoral system. Because you have millions of people out there stating that Donald Trump won, that there was illegal immigrants voting for Joe Biden. And then we need to have consistency across states, because SAVE Act stated that it establishes a uniform standard for voter registration across all states. It creates a standard for it. And by having this consistency, what it does, it helps to prevent discrepancies and loopholes that can be exploited for fraudulent activities when it comes to voting. Now, I know I'm gonna have some Democratic shills to bring the counter arguments. They will probably go on to state that, one of the major concerns is the accessibility of required documents. Not all citizens have a passport, military ID, or real ID compliant driver's license. Last time I checked, foundational Black Americans have licenses, whether it be a picture ID, a real ID, a picture ID, or a driver's license. And they would tell you that, well, for those who are expired, getting these documents can be costly and time consuming. That will disproportionately affect older Black Americans and some younger Black Americans. They would tell you that there's potential for disenfranchisement, right? That the requirement for documented proof may somehow inadvertently disenfranchise eligible voters who cannot obtain the documents. And of course, again, this can include your elderly people with disabilities, okay? Those people who live in those rural areas with limited access to government access or even good internet to a certain degree. They're saying it's going to be a burden on the system because we want to follow the Constitution and ensure that only citizens are voting in the federal elections. Okay? Because that's what people who are shills of the Democratic Party does. There are Black Americans have a long history of being disenfranchised. Legislation like the Voting Rights Act of '65 was crucial in dismantling systematic barriers. That's what they would tell you. Economic disparities mean that Black Americans are less likely to possess the required documentations. 25% of Black Americans do not have a government-issued photo ID, compared to only 8% of white. Then we ensure that our people get those IDs. Oh, what about the monies that's been funneled to the illegal immigrants for shelter in America? Can we use that money for their IDs? Can we subsidize a real ID program for the Black community where the IDs are only $5 instead of $30? Can we do that? Can we take some of the illegal immigration resource benefiting money to subsidize a program for real IDs in these low destitute Black communities for those who need it? Can we do that? Then I want to do that because they'll turn around and say, oh, well, this is also a risk of discriminatory enforcement of these requirements. Because if you look at history, it's shown that new voting regulations can be selectively applied in ways that disproportionately affect Black folk. Let me tell you this, family. Without legislations like the SAVE Act, and of course, the legislation can always get better, but it is a good idea in my opinion. But the SAVE Act, we're looking at the integrity of our voting system and how it can be compromised without certain legislation. With over 30 illegal immigrants currently in the country, ensuring that our eligible citizens that can vote is paramount, because here's the thing. Why is this important? Why Okay, let me put this into perspective, family. Why is it important that only citizens of that country vote in the federal elections? Now, we have two major sides, the Republicans and the Democrats, and they're going to pass certain policies that are going to affect millions of people, either directly or indirectly. When you have millions of people from other countries, they're coming with their own governmental ideologies, okay? They're not just going to fall in line to the American way of life. They're not going to just fall in line to the American political system. This is why you have a Chinatown, because they all wanted to be together and have their little small country in our big country. That's why you have Somali town. That is why you have African town. That's why you have all these people gathering in certain areas, Indian people as well. They buy off blocks and houses and little store businesses, and everybody will eventually start to move out, or they look for properties that are just now being built. They huddle, they galvanize in those areas, as they should. I'm not against that, family, but the point is, they can change the very dynamics of American politics if the numbers increase to a certain significant point. Because now we have people from communistic societies, socialist societies, right? They have all these different ideologies. It will shift the American way of life by policies. And people are not understanding, again, the bigger picture. When you have such a large population, of people who can literally get up and go. Don't forget, if they are illegal, they can get up and go back to their country. They don't have dual allegiances. They have one allegiance. If I'm illegally in your country and I can vote, I can change the very dynamics of your country. I can then wait 10 years to see the effects of my decision. And if I don't like it, guess what I can do? I can go back to my country. See, Americans are not looking in droves. There's very few Americans. I know there's some. There's very few Americans like, you know what? I'm going to move over to China. You know what? I'm going to pack all myself up right here in the US of A and move over to India. No one's doing that. No one's doing that. Even Foundation of Black Americans who picked up all of the things. I'm tired of the white supremacy United States of America. I'm moving over to Africa. 50% of them are already back. Some of them moved over there for less than a year. Some of them moved over there for 5 years. And 50% of those people said, you know what? I'm just going to handle these white supremacists right here in the good old US of A. That's what they're saying. Because this is very crucial in protecting the integrity of our elections. Because if you are a red-blooded so-called American, white supremacy and all, but you love America, then you have to be for the integrity of our elections. Whether you're going to vote or not vote. You see what I'm saying? Whether you're going to vote or not vote, your choice. We do not inadvertently disenfranchise those who have historically faced barriers to vote. Yeah, we need to strike a balance. We need to strike a balance. So for those of you who've already decided you want to vote for the SAVE Act. And it should include funding for free or even low-cost IDs, okay? Maybe some mobile documented services in those rural areas that they can bring out to them. That's what we should do. Because I think it's a very large step in ensuring a secure voting system. But something has to be implemented with care to avoid what's already being done. Let's go through this very quickly, fam. I'm gonna read some of your comments. Donald Trump used one of my economic papers to back up his plan to crack down on immigrants and build a physical wall. Decades of record immigration have produced lower wages and higher unemployment for our citizens, especially Black Americans. Okay, I want you guys want to reference this. This is from Politico. Yes, immigration hurts American workers. You guys can read this. I'm just go through some of the highlights here. Clinton claimed that immigrants, both legal and illegal, Clinton did. Remember the first Black president everybody voted for? Not me. Improve the economy for everyone. She told the crowd, I believe that when we have millions of hardworking immigrants contributing to our economy, it would be self-defeating and inhumane to try to kick them out. That's your boy, old Bill Clinton, old William Clinton. That's your boy. For many Americans, the influx of immigrants hurts their prospects significantly. Anyone who tells you that immigration doesn't have any negative effects doesn't understand how it really works. When the supply of workers go up, the price that firms have to pay to hire the worker goes down. Can I say that again? When the supply of people, when the supply of workers, when the supply of illegal immigrants go up, the price that organizations have to pay employees goes down. Wage trends over the past half century suggest that a 10% increase in the number of workers with a particular set of skills probably lowers the wage of the group by at least 3%. So what do you think are happening to Black Americans? Stop telling other Black Americans that illegal immigrants in the country aren't hurting their jobs, that they're the ones that's going out there picking fruit and doing this, that, and the other. They're taking more than fruit jobs. These are just not jobs picking bananas and oranges, okay? I keep asking people, where's the large fruit farm in Chicago? I can't find it. Both low and high skilled natives are affected by the influx of immigrants. But because a disproportionate percentage of immigrants have few skills, it's a low skilled American workers, including many Blacks, who have suffered from most of the wage dip. Everybody trying to get the bag, they decrease in the bag. The monetary loss is sizable. The typical high school dropout earns about $25,000 annually. According to the census data, immigrants admitted in the past 2 decades lacking a high school diploma have increased. Listen, they're lacking a high school diploma. There's very, very, very few of Black Americans. We have at least a high school diploma, family. You know that. Little Junebug, he wasn't that bright, but he passed high school, or they at least gave him a diploma. Yeah, we got some people with some GEDs, but Little Junebug got his high school diploma. They're saying that the illegal immigrants are coming over here and they don't have high school diplomas and have increased the size of the low-skilled workforce by 25%. 25%. They increased the workforce by 25%. So if you take, for instance, 15% of this number contributed to jobs that were actually open that Americans couldn't fill, right? Because of our population. At one point in time, we had more jobs than people. That's a way. That's no longer here. So I would say roughly anywhere from 5 to 8% of this number affected the Black community in decrease of unemployment in certain areas. Not, of course, when you nationally add these numbers together, it won't seem as low, but in certain areas, depending on what state and what cities that people live, it's hurt the Black community significantly. That's what they're stating here. Okay, you just kind of do an analysis of what they're on a broader spectrum of what they're stating about this 25%. It also states that as a result, the earnings of this particular vulnerable group dropped by between $800 and $1,500 each year. So it's decreasing. Wow. This is very significant, family. See, a lot of these things, I know that we're on a board for reparations. That's our calling, unless we're sitting on the fence. All right, we're sitting on the couch. We went from voting to the SAVED Act, and we're going to the couch. But for those who believe this is their civic duty to vote, I'm not against you, brother. I'm not against you, sister. But I'll tell you this: we're voting against our own interests if we go against policies. If we go against policies that could significantly support us indirectly. Okay, and a lot of people believe that's what the Democratic Party policies come up to be. Absolutely not. We've seen it time and time again. A lot of the policies that our people helped to get passed benefited other groups more so than us. We've been accepting illegal immigration for quite some time now, but now it's hitting home. Now it's affecting people. Sometimes some things just take time. But I still hear Negroes talking about they're come over here for opportunities. And I say, fuck them opportunities. What about your family? Be one.